Welcome back to Mornings with Marilyn. I'm Isabel, and today my grandmother is going to share an incredible real-life story about grace giving that will blow your mind. You'll hear about a man who went bankrupt. He gave God 6 months of faithful service, and God blessed him with an enormous financial gift. You'll also hear Ruth's story in a way that shows how surrender always leads to favor. If you're standing in a hard place, wondering if God still sees you, this episode is for you. God wants to give you new hope, fresh awareness, and help you to walk in faith. Let's jump right in.
What did God say to Paul when he, I memorized 1st and 2nd Corinthians, and I don't know how this man lived through all this. He was stoned, he was shipwrecked, he fell out of he came out of an apartment building where he was preaching, and looked like, he had died. He was so, how can I say, he was so persecuted. I think, how on earth? That one time when he's preaching, a man falls out and they think he's dead. And he doesn't go down there and say, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I preached too long and you fell out of the mountain." But I believe he raised a dead man. Many times it looked as though he was dead, but he wasn't. How could he go on? And then he was always in prison. You say, what made him do that? So I have to tell you. And this is in 2 Corinthians 12:9. He said to me, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, most gladly, I will rather boast in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me." What? What made God's power rest upon him? He's always in prison, but he just took the time in prison to write the 13 epistles that we like so well. How come he always came out smelling like a rose? Why? Because it was God's grace. You see, the grace of God, when we walk in grace, then God can multiply things to us we would never dream. Did he think over 2,000 years later we would be talking about him? We would be reading the epistles and they would be so strong and so wonderful. Oh, and they would help us through every kind of a situation.
One of my favorite things about my grandmother is how she never stops teaching about God's grace and mercy. Her book, Unadulterated Mercy, is such a beautiful reminder that God's love will never give up on us. In this powerful resource, Mimi will take you through the story of Hosea, a journey of heartbreak, redemption, and the relentless mercy of God. If you've ever felt distant from him or wondered if he could still forgive you, this book will touch your heart in a deep way. We'd love to send you Unadulterated Mercy for your gift of any amount. Just visit morningswithmarilyn.org to get your copy. It's a wonderful way to experience the healing love of God for yourself.
But the last thing I want to give you, and I want you to call in, and I want you to do a special grace gift, because this is the way to see mountains move. But listen to this. Oh, this is 1 Peter 4:10. This is Peter saying, "And each one has received a gift. Minister to one another as good stewards of the manifold grace of God." Now, what is manifold? Many classes, many sizes, many kinds. You may need middle-sized grace. You may need huge grace. You may need giant grace or small grace or tiny grace. God has all sizes of grace. And I like this. We have manifold trials, but there's manifold grace. There's the right size grace to go with every trial you're in today. It's a grace gift that brings the grace blessing and the overflow of blessing. And I could tell you of many incidents. One time a woman said she felt led to give us $1 million if God gave it to her. Well, That's pretty far out, but she was a wealthy woman involved in a divorce. And so we prayed. We believed God. She wanted to sow $1 million gift. And so we said, well, God can bring it to her. And here, through her husband, who was not saved, gave her several $1,000,000. And she sowed it, and God has blessed her and prospered her in the most unusual ways. Hey, folks, let's use God's grace and see God's blessing in your life.
If you've been encouraged, challenged, or simply enjoyed what you heard today, would you take a moment to rate and review this podcast? Your feedback helps us reach more listeners and empower ordinary people to tap into the life-changing power of the gospel. Just scroll down in your podcast app and tap the stars or leave a comment. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks so much for joining us today. Until next time, wake up in the Word and keep walking in faith.